had our committee meeting.
What time?
So, on them, whenever they get there. This is good. Case and that illustrious Jeannie Joy, Lady in Red.
First of all, I want to thank you, Councilman Baker, for taking the opportunity to meet with us. Of course, we're excited about you being the new baby to the bunch on the East Cleveland City Council. Wanted to let you know that we're excited once again. Today is Tuesday, July the 24th, and I wanted you to state for the record your full name, your position, and anything you want us to know just in opening.
Mansell Baker, member of East Cleveland City Council.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start my questions. The first question is, tell me about yourself and the history of your family.
Well, I grew up in the city of East Cleveland. I've been there the majority of my life. My mother, a single parent, raised me, and I was the only child born to her and my father. My father was briefly a part of my life in the early parts of my life. I attended the East Cleveland Public School System, whereas I graduated from Shaw High School 10 years back. It was a great experience. I participated in the marching band there. Was involved in the canteen council, very actively involved in academic programs as well, mock trial and things of that sort, and also track. So I had a very, very good upbringing. I can contribute that to my mom and my grandmother.
To get to your path to East Cleveland, were you born in East Cleveland?
Yes, I was born in East Cleveland. Grew up off Shaw Avenue.
And with your family here, originally your family came from?
Originally, my family moved here in the 1960s. We came from Whitehall, Alabama. Of course, I wasn't thought of at that point, but my grandmother migrated from Whitehall, Alabama with the rest of the family.
And how was East Cleveland a part of where you knew you was going to stay?
Well, East Cleveland has always been near and dear to my heart. It's been a place where I was able to mature. It's been a place I was able to meet friends and mentors. East Cleveland is a masterpiece, so to speak. And you know, many people who migrate through East Cleveland never forget about it. And I'm one of those ones that has never forgotten about East Cleveland and want to come back and be that person and make change and make a difference.
When you mentioned your grandmother and your mother, how did you know about East Cleveland? Were they originally, East Cleveland was their first stop?
No, their first stop was Cleveland, Glenville area, not too far from the border of East Cleveland. And soon, once the family began to grow, it was necessary to find a bigger home, and that landed them right in East Cleveland.
So you said you're the only child?
I'm the only child to my mother and my father, of whom are no longer living.
And with you being in East Cleveland, did you find a lot of friends to connect with?
We had a very close-knit street. Our street was very family-oriented. That was a time when residents, or what I would call neighbors, were able to give corrective action if they saw me doing anything and any other young person growing up on the street. So we were very much fond of one another. We had our ups and downs, but you know, I think it was a growing experience and a well worth it experience to grow up on the street I grew up on.
With that close-knit family, do you think that contributes to your growth today?
I do heavily believe that my mom's upbringing and my grandmother's influence, as well as my uncles, did have a very profound effect on the person I am today. They taught me structure and taught me a drive and assertiveness about myself that I could be appreciative of, because it did contribute to a lot of what I am today.
When you mentioned an extended family in your neighborhood, Do you think that has a big impact, or could it be more elaborated today with the youth?
There is an extended family that I can call on much today, and they are very, very active in my life still. Um, they've accepted some accountability for who I've become, and I've always sought guidance from them as people and as people of experience. They've been through enough, and they can help me grow as an individual from mistakes they've made, so I don't make those same mistakes. It does help me, however, connect with the youth because it taught me how to be family within family. So that is a active goal of mine, so to speak, at this point, to re-engage the youth of the city based upon how I was raised in that city. Not too far from the new age and not too far from the heyday of East Cleveland.
And when you mentioned about your mom, what type of work did your mom do?
My mom was a part of computer technology. She was involved in what they called microfiche at the time, how they stored records on microfiche and tapes. So she worked for a company until her disability allowed her not to work.
Did your mom or dad see you in all the wonderful things you've been doing? Did they get a chance to witness it?
Unfortunately, my mom did not get a chance to witness me graduate from college. But she's seen me do enough things to where I did make her very happy in her latter part of her days. But she did not get a chance to see me sworn in as a councilman or a police officer or as a government official. So I have not had that privilege that some people are afforded to have their moms and dads present during their advancements in life.
With you being the only child of your mom and dad, do you feel that family structure, of course, was definitely instilled in you?
As I stated earlier, structure was important. However, I will still stress that I did grow up in a single-parent household of a mom who, could only provide what she can provide. So we were a low, moderate income family. So some things I did with and some things I had to do without.
Let's lead it on to the next question. Can you think back of the earliest memory of East Cleveland and tell me what life was like then?
I can reflect back to the 1980s, mid-80s, whereas East Cleveland was still a quiet community. Did not see too much activity relative to gang violence. You had no problem with people breaking in your house. It was a very, very neighborly community. Like I said, everyone knew one another. Everyone engaged one another. Everybody, pretty much had a connection. And now I'm seeing that that type of family environment is fading away, and that's one of my goals, to help restore that type of environment to the city.
Fading away, is that something that you mentioned you would like to restore that? So it is hope.
It is hope in that.
Okay. Which ways would you like to restore?
I'd like to first start with the youth of the city and then re-engage the youth in connection with our population of seniors. I want to still protect our seniors through what I can do as a legislator. But most of all, I want to mentor the youth and steer them in a positive direction, because I think it would be well received coming from somebody who's not that entrenched or seasoned. I'm not too much, not connected to where they, what era they grew up in. So I'm able to relate more as to their needs and desires.
And what are your fondest memories of East Cleveland?
My fondest memory of East Cleveland was playing for the Shaw High School Marching Band and traveling and representing the city as an ambassador during a time where wasn't so popular to be involved in things like that. I was glad that I was able to lay the foundation for the band members that we see now traveling to China and winning competitions all over the states. So it's very, very heartwarming for me to see the kids carrying on in some of the foundation that I laid as a cardinal.
When you mentioned about Shaw High School going to China, when you first heard the news, was that very surprising for you?
It was very surprising. I found that they had a great opportunity to represent the city of East Cleveland, not only the city of East Cleveland, but the United States as a whole, in an endeavor that is only afforded to them every blue moon. So I did think that was a grand occasion for them to have to be a participant in. I was very happy for them. I was off at college, and I was currently employed with the marching band, the college marching band off at college. So I thought that was a great opportunity once I did catch wind of it.
I know with you being a police officer, how long were you a police officer?
A year.
1 year. Was that rewarding for you?
It was a grand experience. Gave me opportunity to serve a community, a small community, and I'm still fond of law enforcement. I still participate periodically in some of the activities of law enforcement. I'm still state certified, so I try to stay very entrenched in the ideals of law enforcement. So I use that to kind of coach kids in the right direction still, and the skills that I learned through that experience.
With you being in law enforcement, you have seen both sides of the fence, if I will say that. You have seen and witnessed a lot of good and bad things, so you know firsthand. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, it's safe to say that I have noticed some very much negative things come of people, but I've also witnessed some very positive people come from the city and the city in which I was employed.
That leads to my next question. In what ways has the city changed over time, number one? And number two is, what do you think contribute to those changes?
City has had multiple changes over the years. We've seen change in government. We've seen changes in population. The height of the city's population, 47,000 people in the 60s. Whereas over time, over decades, we've lost a significant amount of residents each and every decade, 10,000 maybe I can say is a rough amount. We've seen an era of gang activity. We've experienced the era of being the murder capital of Ohio and leading among the states. We've witnessed a calm era. We had an era where, the gang activity fell to an all-time low, and the murders in the city fell as well to an all-time low. And now we're witnessing a rebuilding effect. It's a slow process, but there is a rebuilding effect going on throughout the city with redevelopment and also re-engagement of its residents and partners.
And when you mentioned concerning we have the highest, meaning that East Cleveland was definitely a mecca and a wonderful place to stay, would you agree?
East Cleveland was the #1 choice in the Cleveland region to stay.
Okay. And then we saw the spiral effect of being the worst.
Yes.
Okay.
Whereas it was the worst place to live in people's eyes that either once lived here or were still residents here. And we saw a significant flight of our residents over time.
And you mentioned there was 10,000 of people just leaving for whatever the reason they left East Cleveland. Can you pinpoint what reasons why they were leaving?
Yes, some were leaving after their kids graduated from high school. Some were leaving because they were afforded another opportunity to stay in another well-to-do community. And then you had some that were victims of foreclosure. We had the housing crisis hit East Cleveland very hard. Then you had some that just were fed up with the upkeep of the city.
next question is, how has race or racism impacted you personally, or how has it impacted the city of East Cleveland?
Racism after, I would say, the 70s or 60s, so to speak. I wouldn't say that we really dealt with racism unless it was coming from a select group of people, probably officers, police officers or something like that. I wouldn't say that I had that profound experience of racism in the city. I would say that it was just probably pocketed amongst a select area, but it wouldn't have been something I was afforded to had experienced.
So at this point, it hasn't affected you at all personally?
Now, racism on the outside of the community, probably when I went off to college, I experienced some ups and downs there with people that I ran into in the neighboring communities where my college was located.
So mainly outside of East Cleveland, but within East Cleveland, it was such a close-knit community, you didn't see it or feel it.
Correct.
Leading on to the next question, how has inequality impacted you personally, and how has it impacted the city of East Cleveland?
Inequality
Correct.
would be probably being afforded the same options and same kind of experiences of people who, like, there was a divide amongst residents. You had the up the hill people, and then you had the lower wards, and I don't think we came together ever as it relates to services and there was just income restrictions, so inequality would mainly be, where we stayed at. That's the only thing that I can say that was probably on the minds of people. Where was your house located?
When you said the up the hill people and the down the hill people, they never connected or came on a common ground?
Still to this day, not too heavy. You have few that are engaged, that stay in the upper regions of East Cleveland. Then you have those that are heavily engaged because the effects of how they're living are so deplorable in so many words that they have to raise concern about it. So, whereas the area up the hill, you don't really have that many problems. They may just have, leaves or tree limbs down, occasional light out. Whereas down the hill, you deal with graffiti, gang activity, theft of cars, multiple break-ins, stripping of houses, loose dogs.
And what ward do you serve?
Ward 4.
Ward 4. And with you being new to the council, you've been on council for how long?
2 months.
2 months. I know at one point you ran for council, is
Yes.
that correct? Was that experience for you very rewarding, and who was your mentor during that experience?
My mentor through that experience was a friend of mine that necessarily wasn't the person acclimated with politics, but it's an individual that taught me to make the right decisions.
Was that something that you thought about for years, or did someone come to you and say?
I actually wrote down that goal when I was a junior in college. Wrote down that goal when I was a junior in college to come back to the city and be a part of the government. And 6 years later, I was afforded that opportunity.
But prior to that, you worked in the mayor's office, is that correct?
Correct.
During that period of time, do you think that it helped you to develop, to know the ins and outs, to be in a better position?
Somewhat.
Okay. And with being in the mayor's office, with you on council now, it's not a shock to you or a gray area. You pretty much know what guide and road you need to go through, correct?
Correct. I was a frequent attender of all council meetings. I thought it was a part of my job classification to be at every council meeting, to stay well informed, and to support the mayor.
Would you like your residents in your Ward 2, correct?
4.
4. In Ward 4, would you like your residents to be more active, or what would you like them to do?
I have made a call to the residents to be more engaged in the community, be more aware be more responsible, take ownership of their community, and not let it be a single-handed operation. Because I cannot do this alone, as I stated at a previous council meeting. This is an opportunity for us to stand together. This is an opportunity for us to help East Cleveland as one area. And I think we can be the catalyst for that change for the entire city of East Cleveland.
And of course, you took over another legend in East Cleveland position, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And with that being awarded to you, and you taking the opportunity to be the council person now, what was the first shock or issues that you had to deal with?
I can't say right now that it's a shock, but what we are dealing with right now is a burden of our finances. We have to come together with the administration and hatch out a plan to stabilize the city financially and make some probably unpopular decisions relative to our finances and kind of keep the city afloat through our decision making.
The next question is, can you recall a memory or incident in East Cleveland that you fought for?
I can remember fighting for the post office. I remember standing on the front line. Actually, I was looking at the paper from 2010, July 2010. We were down at the post office picketing, and I saw my face applauding on the front cover of that Plain Dealer.
Did a lot of residents come out, or what part of that picketing that you were surprised or shocked?
I was surprised with the residential turnout. There were a significant number of East Clevelanders out there fighting for that cause. Unfortunately, we did not make impact. They still did close the facility and sought to keep it at minimum operation. So it was something that I believed in. It's something that I watched be a pillar in the community for so long, and it was just heart-wrenching to see it go.
But with you being there and on the front line, was that experience for you something that you can do better next time with, or take that experience and grow from it?
I'll take that experience and grow from it, and next time, if there should be a next time with a corporate entity as such as that, I would take a different avenue in trying to make sure that our voice are heard. More importantly, the residents' voices are heard.
And the next question is, how have the surrounding institutions or city impacted East Cleveland?
The partnerships from the surrounding communities and our partnerships from within the city have vitally impacted our infrastructure. We saw a lot of people step to the plate and want to help East Cleveland, and that's very important. University Circle stepped up, and we've seen organizations, grassroots organizations, come to the forefront to try to help us reorganize our residents in our block clubs and street clubs, so that's very, very good. We still have a long way to go, and I'm trusting that we'll continue in the right direction.
When you mentioned that University Circle and others have stepped up, are they stepping up to support a hand, or to state that they're here and they want to grow as a partner, or stepped up to do?
They have stepped in to partner and be a part of the vision of East Cleveland and improving our housing, improving our layout. They've been very vital in providing us with some input as to redevelopment. So it's very, very good to have an organization such as UCI and other organizations to help us make change within our community.
Saying that, let me lead to the next question. It's a two-part question. What is your vision for the future of East Cleveland? And tell me about a major issue that needs addressing in order to better your neighborhood, your community, and your city?
My vision for the city of East Cleveland, and I can't go into much detail because it's a work in progress. But my vision for the city of East Cleveland is to be a place where families can be raised and without fear of being hurt, fear of being harmed. They can be a part of a great school system. I see a bust of development happening. I can see where the kids, have a 98% college attendance rate to where they, go off to college with full rides and partial rides. That would be great. I would love to see the residents come out when not expected. Instead of being encouraged to come out, they want to come out and be a part of continual change in the city. One of the things that I would see for my ward is to deal with prostitution. The prostitution is an increasing problem. Drug activity on a few streets, not a lot of my streets in my ward, but a few streets in my ward. I would love to have that dealt with various law enforcement strategies.
And my other question is, what would you be prepared to do as a part of East Cleveland making it better?
I'm prepared to work around the clock like I've been doing since I've been here. And in 2009, I made a commitment to the city, and that commitment has been strong since. Win or lose, upset or defeat, I've been a person that's always been engaged in what East Cleveland is and what East Cleveland will be.
I have three closing questions, and then we can do some closing remarks. I wanted to know, with you being in East Cleveland and being your age and being so young, what would you tell the young people what they can do now to prepare themselves to be a council person or be in the leadership position in the political arena or a business person?
Well, it starts first by voting. They should vote, become a part of the democratic process, seek out a mentor, somebody already actively involved in government, always give it their self, with spare time that they may have on hand. Just being a partner in the community and doing what the next man won't is how I got to where I am today.
And my other question, do you mentor at all, or do you do any public speaking?
I still mentor and I still do public speaking. I'm an active partner with a number of organizations across the county that want to hear feedback from young politicians such as myself, and a number of the organizations that I'm involved in are organizations that have a median age of 25. So we're young, active, democratic youth within the city. Within the county, quite frankly. So I do mentor. I still mentor students at Shaw, and I still mentor students at Heritage. I've taken students on college tours to Central State, my alma mater, and also Akron, Kent State, and Wilberforce University. So I'm still looking to promote college education among our urban communities. And I'm going to keep at that.
Do you feel, or would you ever start a foundation or organization on your own?
I'm hoping to start an organization that addresses the individuals that have felonies and have hard time securing employment and getting resources and getting guidance. Also, I want to be an organization that helps prepare kids for the next step after high school, because I think that's a gap as well, and I want to fill that gap by providing them with the leadership that they need to be successes.
And Ward 4, your area, would you consider what percentage are seniors compared to youth, compared to working class, compared to unemployment? What is the highest that you would say that is varying in your ward?
Well, I have one of the highest populations of senior residents. I would say, there is like 65 percentile of senior population within my ward, and also with the youth, I do have 3 elementary schools in my ward, and a high school. So there is a significant population of young adults and youth matriculating through the area at any given weekday.
Due to your time, and I'm going to direct my question to my colleague, Mr. Brandon King, to see if he has any questions for you at this time.
Councilman Baker, again, thank you for your time here today.
Thank
Just
you.
have a couple questions to follow up on.
Uh-huh.
In regards to the youth, seeing as you do have the high school in your ward, how has life changed for youth in the city of East Cleveland? Say, when you were growing up, you were just running around, and now kids growing up.
Today's age growing up now are heavily influenced by social media, whereas I didn't have that much social media. We had game systems, and that's probably the highlight of our day. They deal with, cell phones, the burst in technology now. Also, young gangs that were not around when I was young, but they've been newly created as a way to I guess, cultivate themselves within their own sex of people. We dealt with gangs like Valley Low and Bloods and Crips and things like that. Those span between the ages of 13 to 42. That was the age gap. Whereas now it's from 16 to 21 that they are populating some of the areas with gang activity, and that is a sort of a cancer to the community, and a cancer within themselves, to kind of be that easily influenced child that doesn't see outside of East Cleveland. And it's not until they run into a law enforcement officer or they run into a life-altering experience that, change happens. Well, my question now, is a rhetorical question, is where are the leaders? Where are those that really care? Where are those that don't treat their job like an 8 to 5? Where are those that want to be an assertive individual and tell that child that they can come out of that way of life?
It's a good point, and we've heard from a number of our interviews how the need for mentors is great in East Cleveland. As far as the youth go, how do you feel the city services or the city amenities has changed over the years from, say, when you were 6th grade to now 6th grade? Do they have the same amenities, the same things to do city-wise?
Brandon, I would say no. I would say no with a strong heart at this point. We do not have a pool for the kids to go to, so they turn on fire hydrants. Our children have learned to adapt and improvise. We have one recreational facility that provides minimum services. It boils down, Brandon, to what do you care about? As a legislator, as a government official, as an employee of the city, even as a strong-willed resident of the city, what do you care about and what type of services should we provide? Yes, the services have changed much since I was a child. So like I alluded to earlier, they will find things to do if they can't be entertained by something positive. And we're losing our youth overnight because there are less positive things that are grabbing their attention.
Okay. As far as the amenities, one of the things I understand about East Cleveland is that the government is separate from the school system. So how could you increase the amenities in the city?
Well, that comes from partnership and with the superintendent and the Board of Education, and letting them know what the vision is, and seeing where they key into that vision. You there could no longer be two separate entities. The local government and the school district has to come together somehow to lay that foundation for those kids to grow on. And they need to grow on through their services, through their activities, and through their amenities, as you stated. We need a pool. We need a basketball court. We need a new track. Because if I know, like anyone else, you get to college through sports. You get to college through the marching band. You get to college through being involved in student activities. So that merger and that partnership, so to speak, is very vital to what East Cleveland can become in the near future.
You mentioned band. Have you talked much about the band today? Because I know that's
I have talked up and down the street about the illustrious Shaw High School Marching Band. That is an organization that has been through many changes. I was a part of the band where there were not too many people in the band, but it was my vision, and among other peers of mine, our vision to be those change agents for that organization. And if you see the band now, you would think that has been a strong program for years and years and years, whereas people don't see from 1997 to 2000, there was an up and down moment between 3 directors and no uniforms. We didn't get new uniforms until 2002, my senior year. And we knocked door to door to raise money for those uniforms and selling candy and things like that. So what you see today are people building on a legacy of individuals that saw something in the organization and thought it not affordable to let it dissolve. So we definitely gave our heart and soul to that organization, building on the traditions of Alvin Fulton and those that came before us, Vernon Robinson and Daryl Stovall and Don Sean Wilson, who is now the director of the band program.
I remember Thumbhead. And it's interesting that you say that, because we've talked to a number of people who come through Shaw, and they always talk about the glory days of Shaw. And I didn't know that Shaw went to the Caribbean
Yes.
years ago. I know recently we went to the Olympics,
Yes.
but I didn't know we had that down period. What do you think caused that down period where the band membership and the band leadership kind of took a dive?
There's a little term called disinvestment, and there's that term that outlines the fact that the administration of the school district did not want to invest into that organization. Then it also is related to the mentality of the student. That's a elective that was not popular. Either you had the skill or you did not. So those that had the skill took the class during the day and did the marching band in the evening. It wasn't until it became popular to be a part of the band that you had those that surfaced out of the woodworks to say, hey, teach me that skill, teach me that instrument, or teach me how to dance, or I want to be a dancer, or I want to be a flag girl, I want to ultimately become a drum major. So I had, within my drum section, I had a lot of people who did not know how to play the drums, and I had to teach them how to play the drums because that's something that they wanted to do. So it became a desire of certain people, certain students to want to be a part of that organization. And over time, you watched it grow. You watched people from gangs want to be a part of the band, and they turned their life around. Students whose grades were once failing, when they got in the band, they became this 3.5 student, and then ultimately achieving a full ride to a HBCU. So you see those changes, and I credit that to the leadership of Mr. Wilson and his staff and the support of Superintendent Corley.
Excellent. That's good to hear. That way I know there's something that teens can have an outlet.
And
get off of the streets.
most importantly, he does have a strong booster club. The parents, you know, they are one of the strongest organizations next to the band that support them financially and support them through fundraising. So I do commend the residents and the parents as well.
Okay, well, good deal. Just to kind of finish off that, when the band went down, did financing and did any cuts in the school's budget have to do with the band in that period where it went down? Because I know in a number of schools, when they cut funding for certain activities, football, basketball, baseball.
Yeah, we did not have a, you know, along with a good band program, you had to have a winning football team. We didn't have a winning football team until 2000. And as the football team began to win in 2000, you saw a burst in attendance to the football games. And so, you know, people come out to see the band, and then people, you know, are watching the band and say, well, then I want to be a part of the band since there's this many people out here watching the band. So it's, you know, it's almost psychological, so to speak. You know, once it looks like it's something, the thing to do, you get involved in it. No one wants to be a part of something when it's broken down, decrepit, and not working. But when it's all built up, glamorous, and successful, you get a lot of people running to the front door. And so, yes, lack of funding did contribute to the success of the band, the ability to purchase instruments, the ability to buy new uniforms. Those things over time did come, but it was a period of time where they did not happen. And the band has now become self-sufficient, whereas, you know, the competitions that he enters the band into, they are monetary competitions, and they hold a certain pot to it. You know, they win a certain amount of money if they place first, second, or third. And over time, them being a Class A, superior type band, they walk away 9 times out of 10 first place.
Is that the thing they do at the end of summer? I've been to it a couple of times. Battle of the Bands.
The Battle of the Bands does accumulate some money for them as well.
Nice. This is my last question. It's more of a personal question. You grew up coming through the school systems.
Mm-hmm.
How you feel about the new school?
That's a really good question, Mr. King. I think they have the right idea, wanting better, but they missed one thing. They missed the pool that was connected to it. They missed the center that could come back. I think they did not seek the public opinion. East Cleveland has always had stellar schools. And we've always been the place to be based on what we have to offer. And if we don't have what all the other school districts have to offer, our students go elsewhere. Because more and more students are becoming enrollees of private institutions, charter schools, and open enrollment type school districts. And East Cleveland is not the only open enrollment school district in the area. So students are going where there are supported athletic programs, where there are amenities outside of academia connected to the school district. And don't get me wrong, academia is the #1 priority as to why a student is in school, but there are certain things that propel a student to stay committed. And that's things like swimming and things like track. You know, when you don't have those types of things supported, you know, like I said, you find students involved in other activities. When a student has something to look forward to, they try better, they do better.
With that being in mind, Councilman Baker, can you look at the camera in closing and let your residents in the city of East Cleveland know how you really feel with you being brand new and being the baby to the bunch? Can you look and really tell them how you feel? And then I have a closing wrap-up question for you.
Well, I do feel that East Cleveland is a city that can emerge once again. We appreciate our partners at Case. We appreciate our partners at Cleveland State, among various other entities that are operating within the city. We need the residents. Without the residential input and work, the city will stay where it is. And until everyone gets up and wants to be a part of the change that we can very much see, that's when we'll be more proud to talk about the community, on a broader scale. But as it relates to me and my involvement and my tenure on this council, I'll do what I can do to make sure that I represent the community in a positive direction. Being young and being skilled at the same time, I'll do what I got to do to make sure that East Cleveland does achieve that reality.
Well, I'm glad I had an opportunity to catch up with you because I know you're running as always.
Yes.
Let's take a moment. But I just wanted to say, I know you mentioned you had a lot of seniors in your area and a lot of youth dealing with the schools. At this point, is anything that you can tell your seniors that you'll be coming to their door, knocking on their door to do what? What would you tell your youth you'll be knocking on their door to do what?
Well, I have been frequenting streets in the community in my ward to introduce myself, to talk a little bit about my vision. But when I come to seniors' doorstep, I'm mainly coming to check on them because, again, I don't forget my upbringing, and my upbringing was among seniors. And then anybody that knows me can tell that I'm an old soul. But as it relates to the youth, I'm trying to get them more excited about the change in programming and things that accommodate where they want to go in life and not where I'm telling them to go. I want them to be very much the change agents for whatever they need to be a success in the 21st century.
We want to thank you once again for your opportunity.
Thank you.
I know you run into a council meeting as we speak. We
Sure,
want to
I
thank you
am.
for your time and running. So we're going to allow you to exit, and we're going to say thank you once again.
Thank you, East Cleveland. Thank you, Miss Joy. Thank you.
We're gonna
Rhonda,
change this.
Case Western Reserve.